Hey there Kit fans, Louise with you today, sharing my second project for the Kitaholic Kits design team. This is the January 2023 kit. This is a slightly longer video than I would normally produce for you guys, but it's for a very good reason. Now, I had in my mind that I was going to make these cubed background squares, and I wanted to do something a little bit different, but still make them coordinate on this layout. And I found this quite a challenge because I don't know whether it was this background paper that I chose or if it was the squares themselves, but it got quite busy and I wasn't really feeling this layout. It took me a long time to get it to the point where I could happily say, yes, it's done. Yes, it's ready for design team commitments. I thought about putting it aside and not sharing it, but it actually has a lot of fun techniques, particularly as you would have noticed using the distressed crayons, which is my mixed media focus this month. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going through my stash of distressed crayons and I'm trying to find the colors that coordinate best with this background paper. So you'll see I'm using that little swatch up in the right hand side, and I'm sorry my video cut off half of that, but all I'm doing is trying to get them as close to that background color as I can so that I can focus on those colors in the actual layout. So as I find the right colors, I'm now going to use the stencils in this month's kit to color all of those little squares, and I want to do them in slightly different ways but with the heart stencil. So the first one is to simply just use the distress crayon through the stencil. So all I'm doing is adding a little bit of crayon in the gaps, and then I'm going to smudge it around with my finger, add a little bit of water to smudge it again. And you'll notice too that you don't have to get this completely right. So it doesn't have to be perfect in the stencil. For me, I am quite happy just to let it smudge a little bit and spread around on that bit of background cardstock. So now I'm bordering this one, and then I'm going to use the stencil to draw one of the hearts. Basically, all these techniques are different ways of using the same stencil. So you don't have to be limited by just plain old stencils. You can actually, use them in different ways. Don't limit yourself by, just spreading color around. Use different techniques, have fun with it. You can see in this case I'm drawing around some hearts. I wanted to get a little bit of sketching going on. So now that I'm happy with how the backgrounds come together, you can see I've used a combination of 3 colors. So I'm sort of coordinating with the background, but I didn't want to use too many of the pinks or oranges. So I've kept it just to the 3 tones of blue. Now, I don't love how they look on the background, so I do end up changing this by adding some of that snowflake grit paste. So I'm going to pop that over the top first in different ways, and then off camera I'm going to actually stitch around those squares just with a plain old stitch. It didn't need much, but it kind of, the messiness of those white cubes mixed with that sort of cube background paper, I didn't feel like it was kind of gelling or meshing the way I wanted it to. So off camera, I'm going to stitch around the outside, which you sort of lose a little bit of the effect of, which doesn't bother me quite as much, but I think it does help bring it together a little bit. And then finally with the embellishing, this is where I start to actually find that the layout comes together a little bit more. At this point, I'm not happy with what I've got going on, but I'm continuing along with it, trying my best to get it to some point of actually liking what I see on the page. Now, I created these little coordinating plain papers from this month's pattern paper kit. You'll find those as a subby exclusive. So they're great for you to print at home and to actually use to mount photos so that you don't have to use up all your beautiful pattern papers. So this is just a coordinating range of plain papers. Now that I am, now that I'm quite happy with the way it's looking, I'm going to go ahead and stick everything down, finish off with some embellishments. I'm going to mount that up a little bit, but I think that the doily kind of helps separate it from the background. You know, there's the little bit of twine with the bow, some stickers, the little title that helps to just enhance that a little bit. It's not one of my favorite layouts that I've created. You know, it's not one that I would create again, but I definitely wanted to share it with you because I think that the techniques on those little cubes, if you've got distress crayons at home, are really going to help you to kind of get something. Hopefully you can get something useful out of this video is what I'm trying to say. All right, well, I'm going to call this layout done and I will leave it for you there. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you haven't already, hit that little subscribe button and make sure that you check out Kitaholic Kits.